Hi, everyone. This is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U. And tonight I want to welcome you as we share one of our biggest secrets, something that could make a tremendous difference for you as a writer. So here's what we're going to be talking about. First, we'll just look at what does it really take to sell a script so that that's really clear for us. Then I'll do some demos, and I'm going to do some demos that are just going to help you see ways to think outside the box when it comes to things like creating a pitchable project, when it comes to targeting A-list actors, when it comes to building interest techniques into your scenes so that your script is incredibly interesting. I'll then introduce the Master Screenwriter Certificate Program. This is going to be number 23. It's the first time that we've opened it up to anybody outside of the alumni. So you guys will actually be the first group that will get to go through this incredible program that has been responsible for hundreds of deals that we've made. And then we'll talk a little bit about increasing your chance to actually make a deal. So let's do this. So first, to start this, I just want you to ask yourself a couple of questions. And please know that none of these questions are meant to be derogatory. This is just an opportunity for you to get really clear on how you're thinking on this. Uh, so here's the first question. Do you truly want to sell a script? Uh, and let me say this, because there's a lot of different motivations people come in with. And sometimes it's, yes, I'm here to sell scripts. I'm here to make movies. I'm here to do this thing. But sometimes people come in and they just want to prove they're smarter than everybody else, or they want to, or they're not even sure if they want to sell a script. Maybe what they really wanted to do was write novels and they're trying to protect their work and those kinds of things. If you want to succeed, you got to be able to take this step. You've got to say yes. You got to step up and go, this is my goal. So second, if so, if you do want to sell a script, what's been keeping you from doing it? Because if you can identify what that is, then you can take the steps to overcome it. Right? It's like when people don't know what's actually keeping them from succeeding, it's really hard to be able to solve that problem. But if you've got it, if you know exactly what it is, you're in a lot better shape than everybody else. So it might be lack of connections, could be lack of marketable scripts. There's a lot of people who have written one or two scripts, but haven't yet sit down and said, okay, I'm going to write something to sell. Could be fear of marketing. I think a lot of people have fear of marketing, especially if part of the writing process is very introverted. I know I came out of there were a couple scripts that I wrote that we marketed, that I came out of writing the script, and it was like I'd been in a dark cave for 60 days, and talking to a human being, especially pitching a producer, wasn't right at the top of my list. And I had to, by the way, I just had to do what it took to get over that, and to practice and to get used to it and get back in the market. Or maybe you're just not a great writer yet, but you're on your way. And it's like, okay, you're just not quite there. Don't worry, it'll come for you. If you just keep writing and you keep doing the right things and you learn everything you need, you will get there. So, knowing all that, what if you could solve all of those problems? Would you? And think about that for a moment. If writing is just something that it's like, oh, you're just doing it just for the fun of it, but you don't want to put a lot of effort in or something like that, maybe you don't need to solve those problems. If it's something that, oh, you're just kind of dabbing your toes in, okay, I got it. But if you've written three or more scripts, this is just ask yourself if you could solve those, all those, or anything else that's keeping you from selling a script, if you could solve that, would you? So just think about that for a moment, because if the answer is not yes, then you have a different situation that you need to deal with. But if the answer is yes, let's take these steps. So we looked at, and this is from talking to thousands of writers, and it's also from looking back at my pattern when I first started writing. Here's the way it was, and I've had so many people tell me this is, I'll say they'll pitch something, and I'll just say, let me just ask, um, how did you come up with this idea? How did you choose to write this? And they'll tell me a story that goes like this: an idea popped into their mind, right? And it's like, this is how I wrote my first script. An idea popped into my mind. And I went, oh, cool. I started exploring it, right? That was the creative part. Started exploring it, started building some characters, scenes, structure. It's you just basically you go to usually when you're just flowing, you go to the things you're best at. If you're great at character, it's like you'll go straight from that idea to character. If you're great at structure, you'll build a structure. If scenes is the thing you're great at, you'll come up with the most interesting, compelling, valuable scene, right? Then from there, you go to write the script, right? And you do whatever that process and, you know, for you, whatever that is. And with that, then usually we have a tendency to get feedback to improve the script and then finish it, right? And at that point, you've done all of this. Now the question is, now what? Right? Is it contest? Which is where a lot of people go because it's easy. You fill out the submission forms, give them $50, and boom, your script is in a contest. And now you get to see what happens. If not, what is it? What is it that you do when you finish a script? And I asked one lady this, and she said, oh, well, I walk around empty for about a week, and then another idea pops into my mind. And she starts the process again. And she had written like 8 scripts so far. So this is a pretty standard pattern. And I'm good with this pattern. If all you're doing, if it's just a practice thing, if it's just you're just working with it, you're trying things, you want to see what comes out, or you're just learning to write or something like that, that's good. Now, but the question is, and this is if you're thinking beyond that, the first question is how to sell. And then I'm going to walk you through a different pattern for creating a script, which is part of the secret that we were talking about. So first, how to sell. You need a highly marketable script from decision one. It's not, you don't wait until you've written a script and then make it marketable. Decision one makes it marketable, right? That's your high concept, your castable characters, your great pitch. So you're starting with something that's marketable. This, by the way, comes from talking with A-list screenwriters. I've interviewed about 120 of them. About half of them were in front of live audiences, and the others I did it on Zoom or on the phone. And I found out all kinds of things that are so different than what most people do and what I did in the beginning. So then from there, once you have that highly marketable script, you already know it can sell. Once you have all of those, then it's about doing whatever it takes to have amazing writing. And that is writing both on and beneath the surface. Now, this is important. I want to tell you this story. This guy told me he had the perfect script. And I was like, okay, great. He was coming into one of our classes and he told me he had the perfect script and he didn't need the class. And I said, okay, that's well, good. Then don't take the class. It's like, and and he kept saying it and saying it and saying it. And then he told a whole group that and everything else. So I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll read one scene. Because I've had so many people tell me their script is perfect, and it's been almost always a disappointment. So I said, okay, I'll read one scene, but I'm going to do it in front of this group that you just told me your script is perfect. So he sent me his script right then. We're on Zoom. I pulled up the script so everybody could see it. And we read a scene where he had incredible writing on the surface. And at the end of that scene, and it was like, wow, the wordsmithing was amazing. The way he described things was amazing. It was, it was just so well written on the surface. Perfect. Everything was perfect. Uh, and then at the end of the scene, I was like, okay, but there's no intrigue. There's nothing that really engaged me. You introduce this character in a very superficial way. There's no depth there. And I'm looking at the scene and I'm going, wow, and there's no layers beneath the scene. We don't discover anything besides the what he wrote visually. So we're not discovering anything beyond that. Uh, and it was like there were at least 10 things that were missing beneath the surface. And afterwards, he said to me, he says, that really pissed me off when you did that, Hal. And I said, I'm sorry. You harassed me to death in front of everybody. So, I looked at it. I gave you exactly what you asked for. He said, but the other side of it is, he says, I just realized I've never written anything with real serious depth. And I was like, okay, it was a breakthrough for him. It shifted things. He didn't know. He thought if he was writing on the surface, he thought if that's all it was, and it was perfect, he thought that was good enough. And now he just discovered something that was beneath the surface. I told him at that point, I said, listen, don't let that make you feel bad in any way. You've got one half of it. You need to get the other half. And then anyway, he went through one of our programs that focuses almost entirely on that. And that changed things for him. So the third thing, how to sell a script. You need non-stop marketing until you sell. And this is not, I put it up on a service and wait. And this isn't, okay, I send out some query letters and then the first person that says no to me, I stop. Uh, this is you keep going until you make a deal. And if you think about it, just take a look for a moment. I want you to just see what this does. We're talking about selling a script. Let's say somebody has a great concept, which means to producers, this is what it means to producers. It means they can draw an audience. It means they can put up a 15-second spot on social media like Instagram or, X or, Facebook or wherever. They can put up a 15-second spot and it will hook people. If you've got castable characters, it means they can get big actors to play the roles, right? If you've got a great pitch, this now means basically they could put together a movie trailer that would have people just blown away and doing everything they could to get there. Once you can show that you have this, the producer now knows they can sell it. Now it's just about the script, right? And it's like, okay, is the script amazing writing and does it have depth? And this, again, I'm telling you, this is the thing that will change everything for you. We'll talk about that. This will change everything. This will change everything. So these two right here are causing a producer immediately to believe that they can get this movie made. They can get it funded. They can get it cast. They can get it produced. They can get it on a streamer, whatever they need to do. So if you've got these two, then when you get to your nonstop marketing, it's going to be a joy. You are going to love how producers respond to it. We had a lady in one of our last groups where we take them to market. And she's like, I can't believe this. She goes, I've been marketing for the last 5 days and 3 producers I sent my script to, they all passed on it, but every single one of them said, this movie is going to be made, or we'd love to work with you in the future, or that kind of thing. And she goes, I tried marketing once before and all I got was no's. And it was like now what she's getting is people are saying, yeah, you belong, you fit. So, okay, now let's take a look at this pattern. So the MSc, Master Screenwriter Certificate Program. This is the big thing that we've been hiding from everybody. Uh, we've done this program 20 times. We've got 21 and 22 just about to happen. And I thought, all right, well, let's just bring in some other people and give them a chance on this. So this is what we've done in that program that has gotten us so many deals. All of our information in this program came from A-list writer interviews. When I was interviewing A-list writers, I don't do the thing that a lot of people do where they go, oh my God, tell me about what it's like to work with Tom Cruise or something like that. I don't do that. What I do is I start out and talking with them about how they got where they're at success wise. And then I go back and I say, okay, tell us how you got into the industry. What happened before you got here? What was the thing that changed everything? What was it that caused you to be able to break in? What caused the producers to say yes when before that they'd been saying no, right? And then after that, then I start asking them how they think. How do they think differently now as A-list versus back before they made a script deal, right? What's the difference? And this is one of these things where I'm going to put up some things here. You're going to see some things, and whatever writing teacher you've probably had has told you not to do a whole bunch of these things because they were coming from a writing perspective. They weren't coming from a sell my script perspective. So let's start with this. The objective from the beginning. Every single step, every single decision honors this objective. The objective is sell the script. I had one screenwriting teacher. We partnered together to teach a group at some conference a long time ago. And I said something about selling the script, and he said, "Everybody, don't listen to him. You know, that's a mistake. Don't ever think about selling it beforehand. Think about, being artistic, being creative. Honor your writing. Write a story you love." And I'm like, I don't mind some of those things. But what I did was with that group, I just said, here, I just want to ask how many people in here, how many here want to sell a script? And 80% of them raised their hands. Now, I don't know if he'd talked the other 20% out. I couldn't tell. But 80% of them raised their hands. And I said, okay, all right, so you've got two different perspectives up here. I'm going to listen to his perspective, and I'm totally okay with you doing the same. But I want you to know there's another way to think about it if you want to sell a script. So, him and I never got on stage again. He I don't know, he just didn't seem to like it. But okay, so that's our objective. Our objective from the beginning is to sell a script. If you join us for this program, you're coming in to sell a script. That's it. And if you're not coming in to sell a script, don't join us for this program. Only join us if you want to sell a script. So, okay. So first one, I'm going to give you a demonstration on this right now in just a moment here. But you need to brainstorm multiple projects and choose the best one. And what you're choosing is the one that has a high concept, has a great title, that is something that would be easy to pitch, right? We know we're going to sell this script. So while everybody else waits until the very, very end, wait, it's already over. They get their script done and then they try to create their pitch. It's like, that's how I used to do it. After we started pitching, and Cheryl and I were producers for like 5 years, after we started pitching to producers in this town, we went, why would we wait? If we're going to write a script, we're going to make sure it's marketable from the first moment. And if you've only written one script, then everything I'm telling you, just let it go. Don't, just write the next script, learn from that, get good at it, get comfortable, then come see us. But if you've written 3 or more scripts, then this should be in your mind The moment an idea pops into your mind, you should be asking yourself, will that sell? And what will cause it to sell? So let me show you how we're brainstorming projects right now. Just a second here. And let's do this one. Okay. Come on over here and join me right here. Okay. This is ChatGPT. I'm sure you already know it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm creating a project. And you just saw how long it took. Now, hang on. Let me say this before you go, oh, he's just going to use that. I will tell you, I'm not just going to use that. If I was going through this class right now, and this is what I want you to do, I'll give you the prompt. As soon as you decide you're going to join us, I'll give you the prompt. What we're looking for is something that can sell. And something you want to write. So those are the two criteria: that it can sell and that you want to write it. And before AI came out, it would take people months to be able to find something that could sell. People would tell me all the time, well, it's easy to find something I want to write. I just come up with something creative and I explore it. And then I, somewhere along the line, go, oh, this will be so much fun. And I do it. Here we've got something where you just saw it took 30 seconds to create this, right? And I'll go into what it is in just a moment, but it took 30 seconds to create this. What I'm going to ask you to do is to brainstorm, like what we just did, 15 to 20 projects before you come into the program. So you're going to have a month or so to brainstorm projects. If you brainstormed a new one every other day, you're going to come into the program with 15 to 30 projects, and you pick the very best one, the one that has a real chance of selling, and the one that you love. You bring those two together. So the way I do it is I first go with which ones have a chance of selling, right? So we get all the ones that have a chance of selling. I'll put them in a little bin, and then I go through and look and say, all right, all of these can sell. Which one do I love? Which one will be the coolest thing ever to write? So let's see what we have here. So this is a project. I gave it two things. I said a spaceship lands on the moon, and that collapses, and there's something beneath it. I think it was a moon prison. So here's the concept. I'll make it bigger. After a moon prison collapses into ancient alien tunnels, inmates and guards must survive while uncovering why the prison was unknowingly built on top of a cosmic prison. Okay. All right. So that's a version, right? Now, the reason we put these three in here, or these four, isn't because we needed to know for sure what the world was to make a decision and that kind of thing. The reason why is because right now you're looking at this concept. You may then go, okay, wait a minute, but there's this deeper layer. Look, there's a monster. That's not in the concept here. So there's this deeper layer that's going to show up. And in this case, it says the monster isn't evil. It was actually imprisoned. All right, that's interesting. So what you're looking for is what makes this thing something that will hook an audience, and that you say the first part and they go, all right. And then you say the second part and they go, oh my God, I have to see it. Right? Because if it will hook an audience, then you've got something that will cause producers to say yes. So this is something that makes a huge difference. Two things here make a big difference. First is, from the beginning, you aren't just trying to put together a log line that then you're going to fill with characters and write and that kind of thing. You're trying to put together something that will hook a producer. And that will hook any audience. If you went to the movie theater and you stood outside of it, and I did this once, I want you to know this. I stood outside. I had 5 concepts that were ideas. And while people lined up, I just went to each one and I said, "Hey, I'm just doing a quick survey." I had my little pad of paper in front of me and everything, my clipboard. I said, "I'm just doing a quick survey. I wanted to run some ideas past you and you tell me which of these movies you'd go see." And I just did that. And I told them a concept, right? And what was interesting was that gave me like deep understanding. I did it with about 150 people until the manager came out and threw me out. But that gave me deep understanding into how they were responding. There were some things I thought were great that they were just not so hot on, and there were some things that they just flipped over. The ones they flipped over almost all had, here's what it looks like in the beginning, and then here's the deeper layer, or here's the surprising twist, right? Or here's the main conflict that you didn't see coming, or here's the intriguing world that you really want to explore. All right. So what we're doing here is this. On this, before you ever start, we're stacking the deck in your favor. That's the whole purpose of this. I want to quadruple your chance of making a deal before you even before you come into the class. That you come in with your 10 or 20 best concepts. And by the way, if you didn't happen to like this one, then there's this one. And if not that one, then there's this one. So we give you 3 at each shot. Don't go more than that because it will burn you out. And it'll overwhelm you creatively. What I want you to do is take these and work with them and ultimately come up with something that you could say one sentence and anybody who just heard it would go, "Oh my God, I have to see that movie. Oh, that's amazing." Right? So you're going to take each one of these. I'll give you exact instructions on it, but you're basically going, like, you print this out, go to lunch, go through, mark out everything you don't like, every single thing you don't like. Then come back and look and say, "Okay, here's the parts I love." Circle the parts you love that, love this, love that. The prison collapse wasn't an accident. So whatever it was, right? Circle the parts you love. And then your job is to work with it. And now you bring your creativity to the table. And you just go through and play with it until you come up with something that you go, "This is incredible. Wow." And then take a day off, do it again. Take a day off, do it again. This whole thing, the first time it might take you 20 or 30 minutes. It takes me about 10 to 15 now. And it's once you've done, even if you just do 2 sessions of this, you will have it down. You'll be able to fly through it. You'll know what you're doing. You don't have to worry about being perfect. You don't have to worry about coming up with the perfect idea on the first day. You just do your best. You put it in the bin and then come back 2 days later, put another set in the bin. Then a couple days later, and you keep doing that. By the time you're done, you're going to have 20 or 30 of these that are amazing. And one is going to stand out to you as incredible, highly pitchable, and you're going to love it. Now, let's go back over here just a moment. Yeah. And just a second here. Okay. Let me make it. Yep. Okay. So number 2. Oops, that's number 1 right there. Here's number 2. On day 1 of this program, and this makes another huge difference. Most people wait until they're all the way at the end of marketing or writing the script before they write a pitch, but then second, and then they go, "Okay, now who am I going to send it to?" This is how I was in the beginning. I think it's how anybody was who started, but it's not what we're doing now. So remember, you're coming into this program and you are there with me, and we are committed to selling a script from day one. So on day one, I'm going to walk you through how to build a network of producers to pitch in advance. And this is going to give you about 15 minutes of homework a day, maybe 10, I don't know. But by the time we're done, you will be doing this all the way through. By the time we're done, you will have between 200 to 400 producers in your network. So this will be a thing you do every single day, and you will end up with this huge list of producers in your network, some of which could be somebody who would buy your script or who would make your movie, right? And so we're starting that on day one. We're not waiting until the end. We're not waiting until it's time to market and then going, oh shit, what do we do? It's like we know we're going to market. We already know that. So day one starts to change your life. And once you're doing this, first, I'm going to make it incredibly easy for you. It'll be one of the easiest things you ever did. I know people think it's really difficult. Cheryl and I, we marketed like crazy. We got to the point where we can do this stuff with almost no thought. We know exactly what we're doing. So I'm going to make this incredibly easy. Every single day that you do this, essentially, you're telling your creative mind, we're going to sell a movie. We're doing it. We're building a network of producers, people that we're going to go out to in order to sell this movie. And I can't guarantee whether somebody's going to do it or not, but I'll tell you, we have had hundreds of people who have made deals coming out of this program. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so that's day one. We're starting to build a network of producers. By the time you get there, you'll have 200 to 400, maybe more. And when we go out to market, you will already know who you're going to. Now, then again, every single decision is about selling the script. A lot of times people look at the script and they're like, well, I'm going to write it just the way it flows. And then I'll edit that and I'll get it to perfection. And then I'll think about selling the script. It's like when we talk about characters, it's about selling the script. That's how you're making that decision. When we talk about the opening scene, it's about selling the script. That's how you're making that decision, right? This may be a different way than you've thought before, but this is how A-list writers are thinking. I've asked so many of them, I'd said, okay, you're going to create a new script today as a spec writer, right? So, and what I'd like to know is this, what's your process? Here's what Allison Burnett, who has had like 7 big movies made and has a deal with Lionsgate, here's what he said. He said, well, what I do is I sit down and I come up with a concept that can sell, right? And I want to make sure that this is something that can sell before I even think of anything else. So he said, I spend whatever time it takes to do that. He says, sometimes it just comes to me. Sometimes it takes me a week, whatever time it takes. He says, then it's all about the characters. And I said, okay, so how do you write characters? He says, no. He says, it's all about creating characters that will cause an A-list actor to say yes. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about that, right? Every decision is about selling the script. Then from there, let's just do this. We'll go do a demo real fast about characters designed for A-list actors. Hang on, let me show this to you since it's there. Just a moment. Thought I had it. Hang on. Hang on, it'll be just a second here. I'll have it. People keep coming in and every time I try to save this, it pops it out. Just a second. Okay. All right, let's go over here. Okay. So This, what I basically did was I just put in for the project that I have, I just put in the concept. So it says your premise has two things that tend to attract A-list talent. A high concept commercial hook. So I do. On this one, I have a high concept commercial hook. I did the process that I showed you. And then it's got actor driven roles, right? So I put in a little information about them. So now it's coming out and we're talking about specifically what actors or actresses would want to play these roles. So here's Evelyn Hart. She's my lead character in this situation. What attracts an A-list actress? She carries almost every scene. She begins as an anxious bride and then becomes an action hero. She gets romance, mystery, science, emotional trauma, and physical action. Right? It's like so the role is pretty cool, and then it gives a bunch of comparables: Ripley, Louise Banks, Sarah Connor, right? And it's like, yeah, that's kind of who this character is. So I'm asking it, who are the A-list actors and actresses that could play these roles? This is the first thing. And again, let me just back up. I have had screenwriting teachers that have told our writers not to think about who the actors are that'll play the role, and they give all kinds of logical stuff. When I talk with A-list writers are always thinking about this. It's the second decision. First decision's a concept, second decision's the lead characters and the actors. So it goes through, it tells me why Rebecca Ferguson would be great, what she brings to the table, right? Examples of movies that she's done. Then here's another one, Emily Blunt. By the way, I'd love to have either of these two women in anything I write. Uh, she's already demonstrated she can carry a time loop movie. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, and she did. It was what was it? Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, with Tom Cruise. So her strengths: emotional authenticity, dry wit, believable science, believable warrior. Yes, I agree with all of that. And then here are some of the movies that she's been in that shows that. Then Jodie Comer. Okay, yes. Subtle psychological changes. See, that's kind of interesting. Portrays many emotional versions of the same character, which is what we need here. Making repeated scenes feel different. Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm sold on her right now. Then it goes to our lead male. I won't go through all of this for you, but it's like here's one. And by the way, Oscar Isaac, yes, he would be great. Pedro Pascal, yes. Dan Stevens, uh, he's one of Hollywood's best hidden monster actors, and he's hidden well enough. I'm not sure who he is exactly. So, and then it gives some other possibilities. Now, this is kind of important. Oh, and here's Nova. This is our AI. So it's a voiceover. So look, it's using my name. And we've got some people for that. By the way, I like Kate Blanchett for that. So just a second. I'm going to show you the second prompt, but let me put some of these actors and actresses in this because we're going to take it even further. But what that does right there is it gives you a chance to look at some actors and start considering them. So just a second, I'm just going to grab a couple of these for this next prompt. Then what we'll do is we'll find out some things about them here. Let's say yes to Oscar Isaac. And I'm going to say yes to Jodie Comer. And I'm saying yes because of what they just said. Because of all of these three things. That's exactly what we need in this role. I wouldn't have normally have said yes to her if it wouldn't have said that. Okay. So now we're going to take all of this and let me put in this next prompt. And you get to see. Now, what we're doing is we are asking essentially what would have these actors want to work with us, right? So just take a look at this. And there's two reasons to do this. The first one is because if I can understand what's going to attract these A-list actors, I've got a better chance of making this role something amazing. And I'm going to actually, I've already looked at a couple of things where when I looked at the Jodie Comer part, it pointed to exactly what I need, and I just need to be thinking of that character that way. I was almost thinking of her as she's kind of static, but yeah, she's evolving. But there's a whole bunch more to that. So it tells us our business needs. She needs to attach to prestige filmmakers, premium audio or studio projects, etc. Yes, this is going to be a studio project. Her career needs to continue building a reputation as one of the most versatile actresses of her generation. Yes, that's what I think this movie will do for her if we can get it made. And her desires. She's spoken about being fascinated by human emotion and complex psychology. So we're going to build that in. She gravitates towards layered women. And this is something that I'm going to make sure I make happen with this character, whose emotional journeys evolve dramatically rather than statically. So this particular character starts out thinking she's getting married, and her husband blows up the entire spaceship, leaving her dead and everybody else dead. And now she has to find out what happened, and she's going through a series of loops, right? So she is going to be evolving in a big way emotionally. She's going to find out things she never wanted to know. Things are going to harden her, things are going to change her, all kinds of stuff along the way. And she's going to go from being somebody who's passive to somebody who's a warrior. So I think it'll shift. I think it fits, right? Let's go back and we have the same thing here with Oscar Isaac. It's going to tell us his business needs, his career needs, and his desires. As you're reading these things, you're thinking about the actor, but you're also thinking about the character, right? So, and then down here, what this means to your screenplay. Jodie Comer as Dr. Evelyn Hart, right? So it's saying some things to make this even more attractive. So at first it says the role is already well aligned with the kinds of performances Comer has pursued. To make it more attractive, emphasize Evelyn's psychological evolution across the time loops. Yes. Let each reset reveal a different emotional state. That's interesting. I wasn't thinking of that, so I will. I'll add that in. One's about hope, one's about denial, one's about anger, one's grief, confidence, obsession. I like that. Because then every single loop takes her through a different emotional state, takes her through a different set of decisions. She's going to grow like crazy. Include one or two extended showcase scenes where she carries the film alone. Okay. All right, cool. Then it gives us the same thing here. Yes. For the other lead, and then the same thing for Nova, our AI. And then it puts it all together in a glance so we can make decisions. So this is our overall assessment, right? So that just happened. It took about what a couple of minutes of AI's time, and then it's giving me some pretty valuable information. Also, when I get to producers and they say, "Who do you think that you see in the role?" I now know what I'm talking about. I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know. I mean, I hope that, some actress will love it," or something like that. And I'm not bumbling all over the place. I know why I think this Jodie Comer will go. I know what she needs. I'm going to present it that way. If the producer knows her, the producer will go, "Oh yeah, that role fits. That makes sense." And even if I don't get my way in the situation, which it's not your job, it's not my job, to tell them who to do it with. But even if I don't, they just talked with me and heard somebody who was intelligent, knows what they're talking about when it comes to these actresses and actors, right? And knows how to present a pitch that they could take to that actor or actress. This changes things for you. It also has you writing in a different way. So you're on your way. Now, by the way, you might stand back and go, now that I've watched one of her movies, I'm not sure. And then you just come back and run it again and put in a different actress. And now it gives you the information on that particular character also. Now, let's go back over here and finish this part. So there was that. Then one more demonstration here. Building tremendous depth into your outline. And what I'm going to show you is one part of this. When we get to this part, this is the most intricate thing we do. My experience has been in my scripts and in other people's scripts, when you write the script, it feels like it has depth, right? It's like there's so much to this, and you've gone through 5 drafts and you've worked with it like crazy and you've lived with it. And it has a deep, deep emotional attachment to you and you to it. But when you hand it to a producer, they don't have any of that. None. So our job is to create something that when you hand it to a producer, they have that experience. One of the A-list writers I interviewed, I said to her, tell me about, so you sold script 8. And she says, yes. I said, okay, what was the difference before script 8 versus that script that had it sell? And she says, well, actually, I didn't sell script 8. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And she goes, I tried to sell script 8 and everybody that read it turned it down. And she goes, I went back to my apartment and I was so upset. She goes, I got so angry. I was like, I was on the edge of giving up. And then I had this breakthrough. She said, I was sitting there and I was thinking, I love this script. How come they don't love it? Right. And she had kind of a thing like what I just talked about. But she said that what she realized was that they were thinking that the script wasn't good enough for some reason. She loved it. And she decided at that point, from that point on, every script she writes, when it gets to the point that she loves it, her job then is to make it twice as good. And she said, after that, everything I wrote sold. It's like, it's a really good safety tip if you haven't considered that. But what we did was we looked at this and we said, the biggest problem I think people have is not that they're not good writers and it's not that they are, that they don't have a chance and all of that kind of thing. The biggest problem is right here, tremendous depth. Most people are writing in a way that they have a great surface, and then there's like one maybe level beneath that shows up only partially across the script. You need more beneath the surface than on the surface. So let me show you how to do that. Hang on just a moment. Because this is what your life should be about. So take a look. This says your outline already has a strong engine, and every scene either advances the mystery, deepens the relationship, or changes what Evelyn believes. So I put in an outline with this and had it take a look at it. So it already has a strong engine, but it says below, I've expanded each of the scenes into 3 dramatic beats, with each beat intentionally built around one of your specified interest techniques. I gave it 20 different interest techniques. And I said, let's do the thing that nobody does. Let's make sure every single scene begins with an interest technique, has a middle that's built around an interest technique, and ends with an interest technique. And here's why. People love their writing, and it's really easy to get deeply emotionally connected and think it's so compelling, so interesting. But what we need is we don't need you to love your script, although I hope you do. We need producers to love your script. We need producers to be saying, oh my God, this is incredible, right? And we need it not from seeing, from the 10th page when the inciting incident happens or the end of act one. We need it from scene one. If they read scene one and they think, yeah, it's already over. They've already made a decision, and all they're now doing is looking for evidence to support that they say no to you. We can't have that happen. So look at what happened here. Scene one, the beginning, a more interesting setting. We're starting with this cool, amazing, luxurious, zero gravity bridal headquarters. So it's an interesting setting. Things are happening. And this, by the way, it took what I had and then it just turned it into something. It added that. I didn't have this in there. Okay. Then the middle is an uncomfortable moment. So whatever that is, I'm not going to read it right now. And then it ends with this mystery. So we've got 3 different interest techniques already built into it. Now, let me tell you, looking at the quarter finalist in one of the contests that I ran, I went through and me and my assistant at that time looked at every single script that made it to a quarter finalist, which was like 70 something of them. We looked at every one of them only at the first scene, and we wrote down all the interest techniques we saw in their first scene. 74 scripts made it to the quarterfinalist. Average was 1.2 interest techniques per scene or per first scene. That was their opening scene. They only had 1 interest technique. So at minimum, you've got 3. And then the next scene, you've got 3. This one, intrigue, uncertainty. The next one, internal dilemma, intrigue, cliffhanger. The next one, superior position, misinterpretation, suspense. So it's not the same ones repeated over and over and over. I've given it 20 interest techniques. It picks the one that fits best for what's happening in the beginning of that scene, right? So now, of course, you can change them as you want. But now what you have is every single scene is designed to hook the producer, hook them even more, and hook them even more, right? By the time if they get through the first scene, by the end of the first scene, they're already really interested. By the end of the second one, we've got so much curiosity going on in their mind that they can't stop reading. And then every single scene makes them more curious. Do you see that? And that kind of stuff makes a tremendous difference. Now, this is just one of about 20 different things that we're doing during this part right here. We have a whole bunch of stuff that we are building in beneath the surface that makes your script better than everybody else's that just came in the door. Our objective our development team is incredible, by the way. When we put this together, we just went, you know what? Our mandate isn't that, just that people are going to love this script. Our mandate is that what's beneath the surface is better than what's on the surface, and what's on the surface is better than 98% of the scripts that they see. So you are going to have a project already just with this. You're going to have a project first that you chose because it was the most marketable, that it's designed to be able to get producers to look at it, that it has characters that are designed for A-list actors. And even if your project ends up being low budget, well, then they're going to be handing C-list actors projects that are as good as A-list actors, and that gives them a chance to break out and to change their career. And then you have tremendous depth beneath the surface in this outline. And now let's take it a little further. So here, again, the objective is to sell the script. At that point, you've got an outline that we've done so many things to, like at least 10 different prompts that all were designed to make it exceptional. So now we're going to challenge that outline. We're going to stand back and look at the pitch and say, is this the best delivery for the pitch? Right? You've got a pitch that you already know can sell. We started with that from the beginning. Is this the best delivery? And if that outline doesn't deliver on that pitch at an incredible level, then your job is to elevate it, fix it, make sure that when a producer hears your pitch and they go, wow, I'd like to read that script, that when they get the script is better than anything they could have imagined. Right. And it delivers on that pitch powerfully. So they know that when they market it to audiences, it will be paid off. Then you're going to write the script. Now, we've used AI to brainstorm before this. AI didn't write your outline, by the way. I mean, it brainstormed stuff, and then you chose what you liked and worked with it. We used it to brainstorm. When you're writing the script, this is you. So I will walk you through exactly how to do it. You'll be honoring the pitch. I will take you through 5 drafts. Every single one of them, you will know exactly what you're doing. You will write the script. That way you get a copyright, right? Then you're going to elevate certain key parts that increase your chance of selling. There are certain, like when you introduce a lead character, that scene should be designed to hook an A-list actor or actress, right? There's 8 different scenes in your script that need to be better than everything else in your script. And so here we're going to elevate that because that dramatically increases your chance to sell. Then you're going to practice the pitch with your team. This is how this program goes. We're all going to work together. You're going to practice the pitch with your team over and over and over, not with a bunch of people who are trying to trick you or trying to be critical or trying to be abusive or any of that kind of stuff. We don't work with those people. So you're going to be practicing with a team that cheers you on, that loves you, that wants to work with you, that is happy that you are succeeding because that's part of them succeeding. And they are writers who are doing the same thing, and you're going to be just as supportive to them. And from that, then you're going to go out to your network of 200 to 400 producers to make a deal. So we've been working on this network from day one of this program. You have them here. You have at least 200. We've had people that have had as many as 1,000 by the time we get there. If you just simply do 5 to 10 minutes worth of work every single day, all the way through while we're writing this script, when you get here, you'll easily have 300 or 400 producers that you can go out to. So we will go out to those producers and hand them a script and a pitch that is better than anything they've seen this year. And a lot of you will end up making deals because of that. It's like once we started doing the things we're doing where we did all of this, we had all kinds of great things happen for our people. So that's what the program is like. Now, the truth, 99% of writers don't do these steps. They do. Sometimes they do some of them, but not very, very, very seldom. Most of the writers that I talk with, they haven't done those steps. They've done others. But you will, because we're going to make it really, really easy. You're going to be part of a group that is taking every one of these steps, and you'll be doing that every week. You'll be moving forward every week, and I'll be guiding you through every step. So I'll walk you through the program. Maybe I'll do it in a minute here. But here's been our results. We've had 20 or more people that have come out of this program who have created a paid writing assignment business. Most of them, when I checked back a year later, had done 3 or 4 paid writing assignments. Some of them had already quit their day job at that point. We've had people that have reported back that have said they've had 3 or 4 movies made already since doing it, like a year, 2 years later. I've had 3 or 4 writers who have turned this business into something where they quit their corporate jobs. One guy had like 6 movies made, and he had done 25 paid writing assignments the last time I checked. We have had at least 60 writers land an agent or a manager coming out of this program. And we've had over 200 that have made their first deal, an option or a sale. And that's the difference that this program makes. When I created this thing, it took me 3 years to create it. I was doing interview after interview after interview with producers, agents, managers, and A-list writers. And every time they said something brilliant, I added it to the program. It will make a significant difference for you. So what it accomplishes, it gives your writing a chance, right, to become a movie. That's a big part of this. It gives you the guidance that you need at every step, and that prepares you to enter the industry. So you're not just somebody who came from nowhere and has no idea what's happening or any of that kind of thing. When you end up talking with a producer or working with a producer, they will be able to tell that you know what you're doing. And for the people who think that producers don't know much about writing, just know they spend all their life either reading scripts, working with writers, talking with writers constantly. It's a very high bar, and you'll be a star. So we're going to give you some astounding prompts for brainstorming the outline and the pitches. I didn't demonstrate these today, but these are incredible. And then we will market as a group. We'll do it together. And when we get to this, I'll show you in just a second. But when we get to this, we'll have a start day. Everybody will report in every single day. You will know exactly what you're doing. You will know exactly how to present. I will have trained you to be able to do that by that point. I will be answering questions pretty much every day while we're marketing. So usually during that period of time, we have about 100 questions. That happens because, you go to one producer and they have one term for something, and another producer has another. Or a producer might ask you to do something that is not really your job. Or there might be somebody there that tries to run a scam on you. I'm answering those questions. I'm telling you exactly what to say, so that you can go back to them and deal with it intelligently, whatever it is. So we'll do that. We'll mark it as a group for 30 days. So you know exactly what you're doing. You'll have guidance all the way through. We'll have weekly meetings all the way through that, and really the whole thing. I'll be answering questions as we market. And everybody will be cheering you on. And that makes a huge difference. So again, we're going to start prep for marketing on day one, and I'll walk you through any deal you get. So if you have an agent or a manager or an entertainment attorney, their job is to walk you through it. But if you don't have any of those and you need help, I'll walk you through it. I'm not going to take a penny from it. I don't want any credit for it. I've done this with about 300 writers, plus or minus. We know what we're doing. We've been involved in so many deals. So, okay. Here's the steps. Starts today. As soon as you sign up, I'm going to send you the prompt, so you'll get it within 10 minutes after you sign up, and you'll start brainstorming project. Brainstorm at least 10 different times, so that you make sure that you come in with something truly amazing. It's the best out of 30, and that gives you at least a 50% better chance of success. Part one, then, this we will start on Sunday, September 13th. We will be meeting every Sunday for 22 weeks at 1 p.m. Pacific time. So that should set it up so pretty much anybody can join us. If you can't, don't worry. It'll be recorded and posted the next day, so you can watch the recording of everything we do. So here, part one, you'll select your project, create your characters, plus the outline, write the script. Then part two, we're going to prepare for market. Now, we've been preparing since the very beginning, but here we will actually be doing all the practice sessions where we get on Zoom, you go into a room with another writer, and you practice with them being the producer and you're pitching them. And then they're the writer and you're the producer and they're pitching you. And we do that little bits at a time so that you get comfortable, you get really good at it. And by the time you're face to face with a producer, you have absolute confidence And at the moment they ask you a question, you already have the answer because we've already talked with all these producers and found out what their questions were in advance. So then part three, then it's the marketing aggressively for 30 days. We just talked about that. And after that, you'll be brought into the Screenwriting U alumni if you're not already there. And you'll continue making deals with producers. So here's how you join. Again, 22 live sessions with Q&A. Uh, and that's me walking you through what we're doing, giving you the stuff. You'll then be working on whatever part we're working on all week long. Then we have the pre-class. Again, this is the AI prompts where you're generating stuff. Part one with the most marketable concept. Now you're creating your stuff, and you're going to get. We have an AI prompt for getting feedback on outlines and scripts. That is incredible, by the way. It is better than any of the script consultants I've worked with, and I've worked with 30 of them. So you will love that. Part two, prep for market. Part three, highly motivated marketing. Yes, start date right there. So you know, Sunday, September 13th, 1 p.m. Pacific. The normal price on this program is $12.99. We've done it 20 times before this. We've had lots of people pay pretty high prices. The special, this is for the first 10 people that sign up. You can get in for $4.99. That saves you $800, right? It's like, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you. All you got to do is just write down this link, bit.ly, bit.ly /MSC23 full. Now, if you need a payment plan, you can get in for $89 a month for 6 months. On that one, it's bit.ly, bit.ly /MSC23 payments with an S on the end. So pick whichever link works for you. Write it down first, then click it and go through the process, sign up. As soon as you sign up, you will, within 10 minutes, you will get an email that has the prompt. It actually has 2 prompts for you to create new projects. And then once you've chosen a project, create characters to go with it. And that will get you in business, taking the most important steps first. And every step you take from this point on with us will make you not only a better writer, but will set you up to be successful with producers. Our writers meet with producers, and I've had so many producers tell me they love working with our writers because they know what they're doing. I had one guy, he said, I have now hired 4 of your writers who have each written a different script for me. And he says, every single one of them was a dream. And I said, really, why didn't you just stay with the same one? And he goes, oh, they were all in different genres. He said, so I hired a lady for a rom-com, and I hired a guy for a thriller, and then I hired a lady who wrote a horror movie for me. And I talked with each one of them. They were like, yeah, he was great to work with. And it's because they knew what they were doing. That makes a huge difference. Wouldn't you rather come into this industry being highly competent and having producers going, oh my God, I love working with this writer? That means other producers are going to want to work with you. We had one lady who went through this program and she came out. She made one deal with a producer. She had written a horror script. The producer worked with her on it. They got it made. It was low budget. I mean, extreme low budget horror on that. But the producer told like 4 other producers, and she got hired about a month later to write another script, and then another one, and then another one. And I saw her about a year ago, and I said, so how many movies have you had? And she goes, this is my 4th. I'm like, oh, wow, amazing. I said, all right, wow. How many producers have you been paid to work with? And she says, 11. The others are working on trying to get financing and all that kind of thing. But she's been paid on 11 projects, and she's made money on the movies that have come out. It made a tremendous difference for her. Before that, she couldn't sell. After that, they're just working with her like crazy. So if you want to really step up and make something happen, come join us. I am looking forward to working with you. I'm going to tell you these programs are the most fun of anything we've ever done. And I feel so good about them because I know people are going to come out and they're going to be pros. So with that, I'll give you the chance to go ahead and make your decision, pick whichever way works for you, and sign up and come join us. So with that, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, wishing you the absolute best, and I'll see you inside this program. Bye-bye, everyone.